Well, Josh Edelman.
Cut that out.
Josh Edelman returns with a Big Kahuna Burger cup.
Oh, nice. I make the posters for Ryan the Cable Viewer's Big Kahuna show.
Oh, didn't know that was a show, but thanks for the plug.
Yeah.
We plugged 2 kahunas in one sentence.
Big Kahuna Burger, is that in California?
No, it's the... Come on, as a movie guy,
Pulp Fiction.
As a movie guy, I can't even. You might need to leave, right?
But technically, it is in California.
Technically, in the alternate universe of Tarantino, it is in California.
And there's definitely been pop-up Big Kahuna Burgers since Pulp Fiction came out.
Yeah, is there a pineapple ring on there? Damn, there should be.
Go there and get a $5 milkshake, which is honestly a great deal for a milkshake now.
And not even at Big Kahuna Burger. It's at that other restaurant they go to.
What?
In Pulp Fiction.
Right. That's the other restaurant.
So I'm taking on your list of favorite directors, Tarantino's.
No, Tarantino's 10. Very high, and Pulp Fiction's his best movie. It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's like one of those movies there are some movies that I watched maybe
Jackrabbit Slims.
There's some movies I've watched maybe 100 times in high school.
Yeah.
That I've just like watched maybe once since. And Pulp Fiction, I think any film person my age discovering Pulp Fiction was like a revelation.
Absolutely.
And
I saw it in the theater, at 13 or 14, not knowing what it was.
So I was probably around then, when like a little bit younger than that, when it went to HBO.
Okay.
And my mom, and I had HBO in my bedroom. I have jokes about this and stuff. But my mom walked in, and I'm just sitting there in my bed watching Pulp Fiction. And she was like, "Okay,
seems legit."
And walked, and I didn't turn out to be a psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, it was shocking, and it was definitely like I remember being on the edge of my seat the whole time with the order and the violence and the whole thing, but...
Well, it's amazing. I think one thing that's so amazing about being a child watching movies versus being an adult is your ability to empathize with whoever the protagonist is as a child without maybe recognizing that there's an antagonist quality to them.
Just or knowing what those words are.
Exactly. Well, like I always say, the 2 movies that I had the most different experience watching as a child versus as an adult are Taxi Driver and Carrie. Because as a kid, I'm rooting for Travis Bickle and Carrie. As an adult, I'm like, oh, these were school shooters.
Oh, yeah.
That's like that.
I only watched them as adult.
You only watched them as adult.
I didn't watch either of those as
Taxi Driver and Carrie are like the precursors for the whole... They kind of, in a way, were ahead of their time with what is kind of going on in the world today.
The disillusioned character.
Because, Carrie's a female with superpowers version of the Trenchcoat Mafia. Just like these very alienated people that were picked on that had their quote-unquote last laugh.
Right. It is the last vengeance for, even his speech, I won't stand for this, essentially. I just bastardized one of the great movie speeches of all time, but... He's basically like, I'm not going to stand for this, looking at himself in the mirror.
You talking to me? The you talking to me speech?
You talking to me, but oh no, sorry, it's a voiceover when he's like, listen, fuckers, here's a man who blah, blah, blah. It was an interesting choice to do a voiceover too.
I'll say this, difference between Tarantino and Scorsese, I find that there's more I'm more wowed in the immediacy after watching a Tarantino film, but I will watch Scorsese's films way more. There's such a dynamic quality to the way he makes movies that I can watch almost any of his movies again and again and again just for the way it's put together.
I do that with Tarantino films way more. I put them on. That's why I kind of knew all those references because I've probably seen it 20 or 30 times. Or sometimes I'll just put it on while I'm doing something else. I watched, and especially that new one, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just love having that on in the background.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is sort of
It's like a warm bath. It just feels good.
It's the only movie he's made that makes me question, do I like that? Is this better than Pulp Fiction?
It's hard because it's so different. Someone said it's the only one of his movies that's not a revenge movie. It's like a romance.
Interesting.
It's a romance between the two. Yeah, bromance. A romance between the 2 male leads.
It's funny because it's I always have to like take into account when I'm thinking about that because recency bias is always like, well, maybe this is better.
Yeah.
But if I go back to high school, me seeing Pulp Fiction for the first time again, that was like. There's like that in Goodfellas and Apocalypse Now. Is
what
like
if you had a bad experience?
The blow my mind experiences of watching a movie for the first time.
Like you go to Pulp Fiction, someone dumps popcorn on your head, punches you in the face, and then that's your experience for Pulp Fiction, and now you hate it.
Yeah, well, I guess there's an associative quality. I remember there was this guy who used to be the most obnoxious person to like do anything with that I knew in college, and I agreed to go with him to see Goodfellas in theaters, and Goodfellas was at certain times in my life I'd consider Goodfellas my favorite movie, but when I watched it with him I was like, why didn't I like it? I was like, oh, it was fucking him. He just wouldn't shut up.
He was running it for you.
Kept tapping me. It's like, I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
I know you've seen it. I know this is the good part. Leave me alone.
Right. Let me enjoy it. Yeah, absolutely. Since you were here last, I did your podcast as well.
Yes.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Which I named It's Joe Rogan Business. I don't know. I named it. Yeah, there was something. We had an inside joke in the episode about merging them, and so I titled it.
Do you think by now what you're on episode? What do you?
9.
9. Okay.
It's up right now. My podcast studio has been torn down for a minute to house my new cats as I get them acquainted to humans.
Got it.
So I'm on a brief hiatus, but I'm frustrated because I want to keep doing it.
Right. So you're 9 episodes in. Mm-hmm. Do you think by now Rogan has seen the artwork for your pod or knows of it?
Oh.
Do you think someone sent it to him by now?
Maybe. I guess probably. I'm so 2 degrees of separation from him.
I mean, 1.
I'm 1 degree of separation. Well, what would 1 degree of separation be? Am I no degrees of separation from you?
Yeah, we're no degrees.
Okay, so yeah, I'm 1 degree of separation.
I mean, it's like probably 20 comics who have probably done his pod.
Yeah,
that's 1.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I guess curious if any of them showed it to him.
Yeah.
And then he listened to it and was like, oh, this sucks.
Right.
What is this? This is a funny show? I don't listen to funny shows. I just listen to angry shows.
I think he would think it was cute.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, it's like another comedian just doing a little homage to...
It's not a there's like parody elements. There's parody elements occasionally throughout. One of the things I'm kind of trying to do more, and this is why, ultimately we all need a full team of people working for us.
Tell me about it. One man show here.
But one of the things I'm trying to do is parody podcasts in general, like a little bit throughout the show when I have enough time to plan and focus on it.
Yeah.
But I just try to make the show fun and just like each episode, I did one with Nikki Bond recently.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
I mixed the audio for that one.
I made her the whole episode was me essentially forcing her to answer all the Instagram polls I put up that she skips over.
Okay.
Which was fun. And then we'd get into like actual debates about them.
Yeah. I like the way you do segments and like kind of introduce like new sections. It's because it adds some production to it.
Yeah. I feel like it makes it more fun than just idiots talking.
Yeah.
Which it still is.
Yeah. I want to ask you some preferences for podcasts. So it's going to be like this versus that for different podcast tropes.
Okay.
So chairs versus desk.
Chairs versus... So these are like
2 chairs, side by side, or the desk.
Or the desk
what
conversation.
We're doing here.
Do I have a preference? I mean, I set mine up in the 2 chairs side by side.
You're 2 chairs, yeah.
That's partially just due to the size of the room I'm in.
Right.
But I had a vision for the show that I have not executed yet, which was more of almost a TV show, almost like a late night show type thing, which is a lot more work than I'm willing to do at the moment. But that was sort of the design. Also, I was kind of, in a way, I had a joke idea, which I did tweet and didn't get that many likes.
If you got any, that's a good tweet.
Yeah, not tweet. Sorry. Instagram post that did not get as many likes as I thought, where I posted me sitting in my studio, and then I did what I think I look like, and it was a picture of Conan sitting in his studio, what I actually look like, and it was when Kramer had the Merv Griffin show in his apartment. So that was a little bit of a design based on the Kramer Merv Griffin thing as well.
That would actually be really funny where you take it like way beyond the podcast, because podcast is a bit more freeform. You press record, it's loose, but you produce it to the point, this is probably the most work, but to the point where it's almost a joke of that, which is probably the most amount of work of all of them, because now you have to do it's like a show within a show.
I've learned, one thing I've definitely learned is I have to be careful about things I say on the podcast. Has Rogan heard of, seen anything with my podcast? Who knows? But there are lots of people I've talked about in my podcast that have been like, hey, I heard that. And I'm like, really? Some of you people are listening.
Like comedians?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to happen.
Fortunately, I haven't said anything bad. I never say a name when I've said anything bad.
Okay. But even still, they're like, hey, I know that was about
me. I didn't say something bad. I said something like 50-50 that someone went, is this about me? And I was like, yeah.
So they knew it.
They knew it.
That's kind of funny in itself.
I've had two people experience that.
Yeah.
Somebody else commented on how something somebody else said was about them without them saying a name, and I was like, yeah.
I try to do not that here, just because it just leads to too much of that.
Too much.
And we know everyone. So why? Yeah. So even if someone says something, it's gone. So.
Good.
Big edit where you just rant. No, I'm kidding. All right, so chairs versus desk. You're more of a like a.
But I like this. I like this too. It's real. I'm really just either or. I did desk yesterday on a podcast I was on. And,
so no preference.
No preference.
Not kidding.
I mean, I'll even say that when I'm doing other people's podcast, I think I prefer desk.
Yeah. He's a desk guy.
I think, but I think for the thing I'm doing, the way I have it set up is don't
walk it back now.
I'm saying I like being a guest on a desk show.
Yeah.
But I've got a bunch of trolls all over my set. I have an I farted sticker sitting on the person's thing that they don't see, but shows to the camera.
I'm the worst comedian or something?
On the front of each cup, it says best comedian ever. So they see best comedian ever.
Yeah.
But on the side the camera sees, it says most delusional person ever.
Right.
Which there was a backstory for. I even put it in one of the clips. Reed broke my original best comedian ever mug. And then he ordered me the one that had best comedian ever on one side and most delusional person on the other. I'm like, this isn't a replacement.
Did he know?
Yeah, he knew what he did. He's like, he custom made it. I'm like, this does not replace the best comedian ever mug you broke. Yeah. I'm never drinking out of this, but now I appreciate it because I force other people to.
I love it.
And then I have my little Champion of Clowns tennis trophy from the Comedians Tennis League I'm in, sitting up there, and I like to have them on the show so they can have to see it.
It's a little... what's the Scorsese movie with the delusional comedian?
King of Comedy?
Yeah, that cup's a little King of Comedy-esque kind of vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I watched at your recommendation. And
amazing. There are lots of people. I know there's a large subsect of Scorsese fans that think it's his best movie.
It's
not me.
It's hard. I wouldn't say personally it's his best movie. It's so good. It really makes you think about your own choices, but in a weird, scary way.
Very ahead of its time.
Very ahead of its time.
It's it's really about. I mean, if there's anything that's about kind of the social media world today before it existed, it's the King of Comedy. This desperation for fame, and Scorsese has said that he thinks it's De Niro's best performance. And there's a part of me that agrees with that.
It's an amazing performance.
It's a very it's transformative in a different way than he's usually transformative. Right. And it's more out of his wheelhouse than I think other roles he's played. So I think in those ways it's very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that regard.
All right, so you're a desk guy. Mike versus lapel.
Definitely for a podcast.
Yeah,
definitely Mike. Yeah,
it's like a comfort thing.
Yeah,
to have it
yeah. I like it. It also gives this as stand-ups. I think there's you ever have to do stand-up without a mic.
Yeah,
I've seen people. I mean, I will never do this. You'll never catch me doing this because it's ridiculous. Watch 8 pictures of this happening show up. But
I'm not that good at an editor.
But I can't stand when there's not a working mic or something and people hold something like it's a mic, I get so distracted.
I've never seen that.
I've seen so many people.
Oh, do you mean like on late night when the mic's not
No.
Or...
Like I've been on shows where there's like, or like someone brought just a prop mic for people to hold.
I have never seen that.
Yeah. Or
That's
or
psychotic.
I've been on things where the mic went out, but like it's a small enough space that people can hear, and then they just hold it anyway because they feel discomfort in talking into it. But while they're on stage, I can't listen to a word they're saying because all I'm looking at is this preposterous prop they're holding in their hands.
If you're the comedian who it goes out during their set, you can continue to hold. But if we're going off mic for the rest of the show, that mic goes away.
If it goes off during your set, you only hold if you're making jokes about the fact that you're holding that are good.
You stop and put it back in the
I would
stand?
put it away. I would not continue to hold the mic and talk.
I wouldn't either. But if you do it, I don't blame you because you're just kind of nervous in the moment. But if you hand the mic to the next person and it doesn't work and they do, no. What are we? That is the element that's psychotic.
I've seen it on more than 4 occasions.
All right, you're a mic guy. Single cam or multicam? One shot or the cut back and forth?
So in the ideal, I've kind of been one shot. So I edited my first few podcasts multicam.
Yeah.
And I've recently just been too lazy and let it be one shot. Ideally multicam. It's more dynamic.
It gives you your eyes something to click back and forth.
I cut the clips for my show multicam for Instagram, even though the show will be one camera, and it also makes editing easier. It makes it more seamless. You're able to, if you're doing multicam, you can hide the edits. Now it just jump cuts when I'm editing, which whatever. It's just like but I'm also just kind of like, what's the point of the YouTube video in one shot of us sitting next to each other? There are the funny gags around and stuff, and I do try to edit a few things in if we're talking about them, or if it plays on my TV, I'll put the actual thing that plays.
I don't think people watch with like popcorn, but like sometimes they have it on the background on their TV, the podcast, and they're doing something and they can kind of check and see and look.
Yeah, and there is something more comforting with seeing people speak than just an image and sound.
But it's not like an experience.
Yeah, totally. But in an ideal world, and my first couple episodes of the podcast, I really edited. I just don't. I hate watching my podcast. I think it's good, but I already lived it.
I find it's the starting to do it is hard. Like once I start editing it, it's done fast. But once the thought of starting to edit it is like really,
even on my Adderall prescription, I have trouble. I just edited a bunch of multicam stuff.
You do it on Adderall
for what? Well, I have a prescription. I just use it occasionally when I've like
to edit.
If I'm editing like a multicam, sit there and watch something go for a long time, and just camera 1.
Does it say like 1 tab for Premiere, half tab for Final Cut?
I need
3 tabs for Avid.
It's pure, like mindless editing is pure torture for me. Yeah. Creative editing is fun.
Musicians do that with like weed and like Pro Tools and all that other stuff. Like them in the zone.
I have no problem cutting my clips for Instagram, which honestly take as long as cutting the whole episode.
Really? I'm the exact opposite. We should switch. You do my clips and I'll edit your pod.
You'll do my 3cam?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down.
Because I can't do the clips.
I'm down for that. That is a deal. That is a deal. You can bring this podcast to court.
Yeah.
When you sue me for $1,000. Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm legit game.
I'm game. Because the mindless, I'm like boom, 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 boom. It's just, there's a linearity to it. The like
creative. The minutia.
It's not the create. I don't find. I'm a more of a Pro Tools guy, and hence an Avid is Pro Tools. So Avid makes more sense to me, even though I don't have it. But Premiere is just a little finicky when it gets down to like doing small things.
It matters definitely the power of your computer. Like my computer isn't even as powerful as I'd like it to be, but like sometimes when I'm working at my office on like the super powerful computer, I'm just like, this is so much easier when I do it here.
Absolutely.
But I'd still just rather never leave my house.
Yeah, totally. Like it's not that much better.
Yeah, it's not that much better. I mean, it's a lot better, but it's not that much better.
All right, so you're a multicam guy.
It's like when Al said, it's like, get a job so you'll hate your job more than you'll hate your life. He goes, but I've never hated my life that much. I hate this job. Yeah. He's like, I've never hated my life as much as I hate this job.
Right. It is weird how we need the things we like and don't like in our lives to get that contrast. We need vacation from our work, but if your life is just vacation, then that's weird. And then
it's funny, I don't know, someone I dated who dated some kind of crazily successful people that I won't name, but like tech billionaires now.
Okay. That make electric cars.
Once told me I was as big a workaholic as anyone she'd ever dated.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Kind of good, but also I called my friend that has nothing to do with any of my creativity like stuff to hang out, watch pizza, smoke weed. Hang out, eat pizza, smoke weed, and watch basketball that night. I was like, I should have just a me fun night. Yeah. But I felt good about that versus periods of my life where I've been nothing but pizza, weed, basketball.
Okay, so you've alternated.
Yeah, like but I feel like shit about myself if I'm only doing that stuff. I'd rather go to an open mic than go to a nightclub, usually.
Yeah. I mean, that's the weird thing about comedy is it does take over a certain element of your socialness, and then it makes sometimes going back to like the regular social activities kind of hard.
I just need, as long as I feel like I've been productive and that I'm being productive, I allow myself to enjoy life.
Yeah, but I see it because like I watch what you're doing and it hurts my head. Like how you're producing 3 different shows.
Maybe more soon.
3 different shows. I think you have a job, and then you have a podcast, and you're a comedian, and you write well. Like, my head's already hurting. Yeah, my head's hurting if you just were a producer of 3 shows.
I'm building I'm building a new comedy website that's just kind of like a central thing for all of it.
All comedians or all you?
It's a general comedy hub that's I don't want to get. I'm still like working out aspects of it, but it's kind of a curated comedy hub, which has all my shows and all my stuff in it, but also other people's that fit the vibe of the site,
the aesthetic.
Yeah, if they want to be included.
Right. So you're a content curator as well.
Trying to do content curation. I mean, I'll say I worked at Scorsese's office when I was in college. That was my internship. And
what? How did you? This never come up.
Yeah.
You're like, this? I've never brought it up. Did you meet him?
Yeah. I worked in his office. I had like 2 conversations with him. One time was him asking me about the Orthodox Jews in Brooklyn, and me mostly lying about the things he asked me because I didn't know, but I just so badly wanted him to like me that I just told him whatever I could come up with in the moment. And then I helped put together.
He gets canceled for like the worst depictions.
He's like, what are these payas for? He was just like, genuine curiosity. I was like, those are for, and like I just guessed, like based off of what logically seemed to make the most sense in my head based on what I did know. But I just said it with such confidence.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, interesting. And then I also helped put together a retrospective of Michael Powell of Powell and Pressburger at the MoMA, which was like he was in charge of, but the reason I brought it up was that he was the busiest person I've ever witnessed in person, where it's like when I was working for him, he was simultaneously making The Departed, editing the Bob Dylan documentary, going through Oscar stuff for The Aviator, making deals for future pictures, writing forwards for a bunch of different people's books, curating retrospectives at the MoMA, running a film preservation thing. It was just the insane, like working on scripts for things with other writers. Like I've just never witnessed a person be flying to teach classes in Taiwan. I have a great story from him about that too. Mm-hmm. But like just getting to see what that looked like. I'm like, he has a whole team of people working for him at the office.
Helps.
That's what I keep saying about, like, I need this. Like, I fantasize about one day having an office that operates like the way his office operated.
It feels like personal assistant is that first step. Like you get rid of the mundane stuff.
He had 2 personal assistants. One of them's now his producing partner. Produced.
That's like the dream personal assistant to producing partner.
Yeah, Emma Tillinger, and she's really great. And she was an awesome person when I was working there.
That's great.
Thelma, his editor, works in the office, and then he had this other editor, David Tedeschi, who was the person who edited the Bob Dylan documentary that was like working in another room. 2 guys that were running the film preservation stuff and cataloging everything and like dealing with people for him. And then other people who did things I don't even know what they did, but they were just in there.
Yeah, I mean, your time is scheduled.
There's a screening room.
Yeah, and then someone taps you, hey, it's time for your flight, or it's time for this. And so you're just kind of always in. I would imagine you could stay in the zone longer because you're not like worried someone's going to get you when it's time for the next thing.
I mean, the iPhones definitely help be your own personal assistant in certain ways.
But also so much wrong with it as well.
Definitely. I've gotten good now at putting my schedule into the calendars with reminders so that I don't forget things.
Right.
And it is helpful. So as far as like my schedule, Siri is my have this at this time.
You could be scheduled.
Person.
Yeah.
And then anytime like the phone automatically, if I have a reservation at something or a Zoom call that was scheduled, will send me 8,000 an annoying amount of reminders. Right. When I have a reservation at a restaurant, it's like they message me every minute.
Yeah.
It's like I'm coming.
Yeah, 3 days before. Do you want this reservation? Yes or no? I literally just made it.
I actually just canceled one that did that because I had to cancel a Vegas trip.
I just did. When?
It was supposed to be this last weekend.
Oh, the one that just happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But things came up.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm going this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where are you staying?
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
But I'm doing a couple shows.
Oh, nice.
And should be fun. I've never done shows there.
Awesome. Yeah. They're fun. Where are you doing the shows?
Doing a Don't Tell and then building it. The rest around
awesome.
there.
I know the Don't Tell guy over there, and he was like, "Yeah, message me about doing it next time you're gonna be here." So I need to message him.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
There you go. Put it in your phone.
And I've done the LA Comedy Club.
Oh, how's that?
At the Strat in Vegas.
Yeah.
Fun room.
Yeah.
You know, it's like dingy hotel, literally like I don't even know if it counts as on the Strip. It's like at the very end. It's either the last hotel on the Strip or
it's
first.
It's the tower one, right?
Yeah. It's either the last hotel on the Strip or like the first hotel after the Strip ends.
Right. I've never been there. I think it's in a lot of movies, right?
Probably.
Like from the 70s and stuff.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's almost like a hybrid of old and new Vegas.
I'm going with Andrew Rolfo, so we're going to try
cool.
and link together some shows or whatever.
Nice,
but,
nice.
You know, sometimes you just got to get out of town for comedy.
Definitely. Then leading to like the other thing I'm starting to do. When I said like more shows, I'm starting to look at producing a couple shows in the outskirts of Los Angeles. Like I really want to put one up at Palm Springs that I have an idea for.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and like I have friends in Palm Springs that always complain that I never see them. So
you have a place to stay.
I have a place to stay, and I have an idea. And they have all these. I don't want to give away my secrets before I've closed the deal. But I've got a really cool idea for a show in
Palm Springs is super cool, and it also feels kind of show busy, kind of like. Just the vibe and the aesthetic is super fun. And
well, I always find like one of the nice things about Palm Springs is very untapped.
Yeah.
Like, you know, something I do is I'll go into like this, I'll look at cities that I'm thinking about either wanting to perform in or just put a pop-up thing myself. And I'll just type in stand-up comedy the city and like see what pops up on the Eventbrite over there.
Yeah.
And like a lot of like cool cities have no comedy clubs, have barely anything happening in them.
Yeah.
And it's like a very untapped market. Like when I went to Fresno, which does even have a mini comedy scene over there,
right,
which was kind of cool. They loved it so much. Like Fresno was so excited about having comedy. And like I went to a show that was packed and the booker was like, "Sorry about the crowd not being full." And I'm like, "What? Like this isn't full? This is a packed fucking show in LA." He was like, "Yeah. Normally we have people like all the way to the
because LA has
wall."
Too much in a way it feels like it has too much comedy. Like there's too many shows.
Definitely. Well, yeah, 100%. And you're competing with places where the nightclubs get the biggest acts in the world.
Yeah, and you can get the biggest acts in your small show too.
Yeah, it's like when I was living in Boca Raton, Florida, people that play the Comedy Store or the Improv or the Laugh Factory were at the Broward Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
And Boca Nuts got Al Lubell.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the you see 3 national touring headliners on one lineup.
If I message the comedy club that I saw Al at enough ahead of time when I'm going home to Florida, they'll at least let me feature.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. It makes it a challenging dynamic to run shows in LA, but I had this conversation recently with somebody where there's like the few names that draw for your show, and we all know who they are. I would say it's 10 people that really, you put them on the lineup, you're like, okay, this is going to make it.
And when you say 10 people, you're like Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, I mean, I didn't even include him in my head because he's not really around LA. But
I'm just saying like that it's like caliber. Sarah Silverman.
Yeah,
and you're even still having some trouble.
Yeah, like you're putting like celebrities.
Like I don't think Kevin Nealon is filling up your show necessarily.
I've never had him, so I don't know. But I would love to. I think he's hilarious.
Is Taylor Tomlinson getting your show filled up?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're all coming out for her.
Yeah, I mean, I would say she's one of those ones for sure. But whatever they are, there's like certain names. But then after that, they just want to know they're coming to a good time, and you just want to have a reputation for. They will start coming just for the show, knowing that the show is good.
And therein lies my general philosophy with putting on shows in Los Angeles. Put on enough good shows in a row that are just good shows that it develops the reputation as a good show.
Yeah.
And once you have a reputation of a good show, the show becomes the star of
and then you can grind it down and run it into the ground by putting on all the comics who message you all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and then you close the show and start again.
It is definitely one of the frustrating aspects of being a comedian who runs good shows and has friends is the overlap of friends and business.
Yeah. Someone said something that was funny. She's like, I think it was, I don't want to say who it was, but I think it was on a recent episode. They're like, I like running shows, but I'm friends with comedians who aren't good. So that makes it hard for me because I don't want to say no. And it's like, I'm not... And I respected that. She's like, I'm not just friends with comedians that are only funny. Sometimes I like them as a person, but I just don't find them funny.
I'll tell you like something I do tell people. I'll tell this to people I will book as well as people I won't book.
Yeah.
I'm like, the rooms I run, while they're fun, cool, good shows, they're hard rooms.
Yeah.
The Improv Lab is a hard room.
Hard.
The Roosevelt room is a spaced out room with a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
Like these are not the easiest rooms to perform in.
Yeah.
And
it's not a what else room.
I did you saw my Instagram polls from yesterday, right?
I did not.
I did an Instagram poll. I said, would you rather have an okay set on a really popular, cool show or a crush set in front of 6 people? And then most people pick crush set. Then I reframed it. Would you rather have a forgettable set at the Comedy Store main room on Saturday night or crush for 6 people in the Hollywood Comedy?
Did they switch?
And almost everyone switched.
To the Comedy Store.
To the Comedy Store. Some people stood pat. I stand pat. I'd rather do well in front of 6 people at the Hollywood Comedy. Because if I do subpar, in my opinion, in the main room of the Comedy Store, I'm just going to be upset.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
There's value to getting
both.
Your picture taken there and pretending like you had a great set and all this. But I know that my internal
value in pretending is so funny.
There is. I mean, God, how many people pretend?
But that's not even in comedy. That's just show business. That's
totally.
Like every musician, rapper is a pretend, fake it to them. I mean, Drake has lyrics about it. Like, I used to pretend I had this or whatever.
Prior to the pandemic, and the pandemic definitely changed a little bit of this, but me and Ben Hurwitz were having a conversation once, and we're like, nobody quits anymore.
People quit. There's just not... They don't quit soon. Mm-hmm. They've committed... There's too much visible commitment on social media to quit soon enough.
Well, I think there were 2 things that changed that made it so people don't quit as much. I'd say social media in Los Angeles is the second leading cause of people not quitting.
Okay.
The first is slotted mics. Because I remember when I quit, because I was doing comedy for a few years. I didn't like actively declare I've quit. I just kind of stopped.
Right.
And the main thing that stopped me was
Cats?
I hated going to fucking open mics where I didn't know anybody, and it was like all a popular kids club.
Yeah.
Where basically every mic was the improv mic.
Yeah.
Where every mic was a bucket,
a fake
where
bucket.
friends were cheated up.
Yeah.
You waited there for hours to get up at the very end in front of two angry people, and you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
It was the most demoralizing thing in the universe that if you could fight your way through, like it kept the scene a little bit more honest.
There was a trial by fire element to it.
But now, and I love the slotted mics because I love the ability to just go sign up.
Yeah, like I got something I want to say. I want to say it now. What's up, 7?
Do
I'm
it,
there.
schedule it around work, get there out in an hour. There's going to be people to watch me. But now everyone has that. So it's just like, you can keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you're not as demoralized by the process.
You can, I think it's just another trap to fall into.
They're all traps.
Everything, it's kind of like they said, look at this. You can fall into a trap where that's only the comedy you do. Cool. You can fall into a trap where you're just focusing on being an Instagram star. There's all these traps that are set out, and it's kind of your job to be like, I know what slot is good for. I know when to stop doing it. Like, it's kind of like acting classes. That can be a trap. I know when to stop doing it. Not me, but like the person. Mm-hmm. And it's like it's on you to figure out when to stop and go to the next level and force yourself to go to the next level.
I mean, I still go. I'm booking a decent amount of shows and running my own shows, and part of the reason I just chose to start running all these shows was I kind of took the philosophy I used with making my documentary of just like, I can wait until someone says, go make this, here's a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Or I can just go, you know what, I'm making this.
Right.
And I was like, I was booking a fine number of shows. I'm still booking a fine number of shows.
Yeah.
But I was like, I just don't want, like, I get the competitiveness of all of it. I get the aspect of, like, people needing to get these people on, and you've had me on your show recently, so you're not going to have me again for a little while, even because this is Los Angeles where literally everyone in the city is a stand-up comedian. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make the shows I want to be on so that I'm on them.
A lot of it's perceived variety, too.
Perceived variety
for yourself. Like, if you had the same lineup every week, like how many people?
Oh yeah.
If like, say for instance, you had a weekly show, you book the same 5 comics every week, like literally the same lineup. Yeah. You're not really gonna get the same audience every week.
No.
So you'll feel kind of bored with it from the creative exercise of booking, but the audience will be fine.
Well, to be fair, a lot of my shows at this point have
repeat.
I'd probably say each show has anywhere from 15 to 20 repeat people.
Of 50 people-ish?
The Improv is now 65 seats for me, and the Roosevelt's 88. Okay. Actually, they just let me do 100 last time.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So it filled up the 88, and then they opened up more seats.
I mean, and you're doing those once a month?
I do those monthly, and then I brought back Grape Juice with Nikki Vaughn now since Liz lives in New York.
Right, dude, that's 3. My head hurts literally just thinking about that.
But you know what? It's like once you have it down to sort of a formula, you just do the things.
Right.
So it's like I just know the things that need to get done.
Like on time. Like here's when I do the ad. Here's when I do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then with Well Dressed, the flyer's very easy. I just change the names and the date on it.
Yeah.
Undiscovered Genius, I try to come up with something a little artistic for each one.
Does Roosevelt kind of, because of where it is, does that help ticket sales?
So, yeah, I mean, I could go through. I've been wanting to start a podcast where I actually break down my whole process for putting a show together.
Yeah.
And I always say it's a funny thing because
this is the podcast you do it on right here.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about starting another one that's just about like business aspects of comedy, but I guess it's show business.
This is why you're here.
But there's a process people ask me a lot, like, how do you fill up your show? And I'm like, it's sort of like asking someone, how do you get abs?
Right.
It's like, there's an answer. You're probably not going to like it. It's not the magic trick of
it's not
zip,
kale.
zap, zob that you want.
Right.
It's a lot of work early on that gets less work. It's like harder to get abs than keep abs, but neither of them are easy.
Right.
So, I mean, at the very beginning, a lot of it is having a network of people that you're friends with and bothering them.
Hey, do you want to come to the show?
Yeah, and part of getting people to do that is also going to all of theirs and being supportive. If you're like a big thing is if you are actively supportive of people.
Are you talking about comics?
Comics or anyone.
Okay.
Anyone's thing.
Right.
I think like an interesting thing that like I'll give you.
Your just whole week is going to like rent an art gallery opening.
Try to if I can fit it in, I fit it in.
Yeah.
But like I think a thing that like a lot of people think I've gone to this person's show a bunch of times. Why haven't they booked me? It's like maybe if you think about it more like if I go to their show, hopefully they'll come to mine.
I think
that's an easier.
We've wandered into two different things though. We were talking about how do you get people to your show, and now we're talking about how do comics get booked on your show. I feel like we've kind of.
No. I'm saying. Come to my show, I'll come to your show.
Right.
Rather than come to my show and I'll book you.
Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
So I'm saying the early on stages, while you're developing the reputation, part of developing the reputation is definitely having sold out shows.
Right.
And at the very beginning of your show existing, it's actually easy week 1, hard week 2, or month 2. Easy month 1, hard month 2. Because
you mean
month
like the first one?
The first one, a lot of people will come to
exciting,
support.
It's new.
It's new.
Oh, yeah.
They'll get it out of the way. Your friends are excited you're doing this thing. Comics want to come check out what it is, et cetera, et cetera.
Your audience needs to grow by a big clip in between every show just to stay the same.
Yeah. I always say it's easier to fill up a 50-seat theater in a town of 500 than in a city of 10.8 million. It's true.
Do you think? So why do you want comics to come to your show? Because they're not buying tickets.
It's at the beginning. It's
you just want
the aesthetic of a
full show,
of a packed room.
Right.
And again, it's a mixture of comics and like another thing is picking the venue. The Roosevelt, the Improv, each of those places are going to bring in a certain number of people independently of me. Right. Every time I do the Improv show, I'll ask somebody, how they heard about it that I don't know. And frequently their answer is, we just wanted to go to a comedy show, so we went to the Improv.
Right.
And this was the show that was
the
here.
Show, yeah.
So you're going to get some people by picking a smart venue. The Roosevelt has thousands of followers on Eventbrite, so they are informed through an email or whatever that this event is happening.
And it's sexy. It's the Roosevelt.
It's the Roosevelt.
Yeah.
You're
doing a sexy show. It's like
I
well-dressed.
definitely always pitch the shows as like a great date to take someone on. Get dressed up, listen to jazz, see comedy.
If your show isn't a good date night, you're kind of already set up for failure.
If you can make your show, if you can make someone look cool for bringing someone else to your show, you are going to get repeat business.
Yeah.
They are going to want to, friends are visiting town, I'm going to take you to this show.
Yeah, you'll never get.
That's the LA experience they're not going to get to see. I got a Tinder date that I'm really excited about. I'm going to show her about this thing I know at the Roosevelt. And
that's what I had with the original Comedy Bunker. It was like it just had that thing.
It's a good date. You're going to see good. It's so important to book good people. And again, I like
when you say book good people, are you talking about comics now?
Yeah.
Funny comics.
It's more important to me to book funny comics than popular comics. In Los Angeles, because again, unless you have sure.
Do you mean popular like social following, or popular to book comedians?
Popular both popular social following, popular to book, because again, it's more important. The most important thing for me is people leave the show saying that was a great show.
Yeah, not
getting them in the door.
Yeah,
because people leaving the show saying it's a great show will get more people in the door.
Yeah, a bad show is really... I mean, look, sometimes you will have bad shows, but
It happens.
it just happens. Sometimes the audience is weird, sometimes it is. But yeah, if you are known for having like good time, and that's what the clubs do, they're known for having a discerning taste. You are a tastemaker, Josh. And you have a upcoming website displaying all your great taste.
Just making
great taste with Josh Edelman.
Making more enemies.
Yeah. What, all three of yours?
What? What did I say?
It's 4 now.
I think I've mentioned this on your podcast before, and it's always the thing that stuck out to me when I listened to the audiobook of 48 Steps to Power or something.
Oh, yeah.
Go out, make an enemy today. You're well on your way to power. And I always thought it was funny at first, and then I thought about it, and like, they're not saying go do something fucked up to somebody,
right?
But it's like the more people care about you, like somebody that doesn't even register in my mind has no power over me. Somebody that registers in my mind that I hate, that's a certain amount of power over you that they're taking up real estate.
Well, same as being your art. Your art needs to be polarizing in a way, not like controversial always, but it needs to be like, I like it or I don't like it. The middle is kind of like you're just lost.
And I say enemies, but I'd actually say, it's funny when you say the tastemaker thing. The real truth is, it's like, if you see that I'm very discerning with who I book, if you want to get on somebody's show because they're always booking good people, it will mean so much more to you when you get asked to be on it than being asked to be on somebody's show that sucks half the time.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like, I think a lot of people want to skip. They want
the photo.
Too many people want their flyer on Instagram. That they just want to show the flyer on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this has been a very weird year, and like the goals, they're always fluid, but everything and the purpose and why you're doing things is always moving, and it's definitely something has changed. We're like, the flyer thing to me is just like so not important, and if you're chasing that, it's just like you're just not.
We've also been doing it for a while. Like people who are new, they want to show everyone back home like I'm making it in Hollywood.
I think what changed also is the volume of shows and the volumes of great flyers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many more shows and there's so many more flyers, and it's just now it's like not important.
Somebody, I'll never forget this. Like the one time I was not canceled on Twitter, but the one time I was like, oh, I've been canceled, was when I was trying to promote female comics I liked, and then someone's like, these are all white women, which was not true. There were
white-ish.
There were some white-ish and not white people on there, but it just I like posted all these female comics I like went about my business, logged on to Twitter, and I was like 72 messages, like, oh, it went viral, and I'm canceled. But I literally just said, I was like, you know what? Good point. I should tell me who some of make this a thread of telling me.
Yeah, tell me who I'm missing.
I'm missing, and I'll check them out and I'll book them. And then one person commented like, yeah, I'd love to do any of your shows, as long as the flyer looks good. That was
that a joke though?
No. They were serious. They were like, these are my stipulations for doing a show. And one of the and they are.
Was it someone you knew?
They are a good comic. Someone I didn't know personally, who is a good comic. But one of their stipulations was quality flyer.
Interesting.
I think it's important.
Yeah, and remember, for a long time, you had to have a photographer for your show. That was like a big thing, like the post-show photos. I think that's kind of like winding down a little bit.
I still do it. But the flyer thing for me, I also think plays into the process of filling the show out. Because if you make a flyer people want to share, they're more likely to share it.
That's true. And your flyers always move, and there's like movement, and there's video. Your flyers are great.
I'll do a bunch of things, and I'll make I'll make the videos to promote the shows, and just anything to encourage it to spread as much as I can.
Right.
One of the most valuable tools is be obnoxious on social media.
Like just keep posting.
Post about it in obnoxious amount. And what it does is it doesn't sell out your show in advance. It just makes it so Saturday nights arrived. a ton of people have nothing to do.
Okay,
Your show is the one thing they know that's happening.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you get that one more reminder on, so you see it one more time, and you're like, fine, this is what I'll do.
It's so funny.
The last minute sales are always the biggest sales.
Yeah, especially in the Improv Lab. Mm-hmm. Which I think I texted you on point. I'm like, should I be worried right now? And you're like, no, this is fine.
Yeah.
And it was totally fine
I've had
and
like
great.
Monday where I'd sold 4 tickets, and then by Saturday, like I'd sell 30 on Saturday and be sold out.
But so like, if I was the person asking you this question about like the show and how do you do it, Josh, you said flyer, you said you're obnoxious. You said you have a network of people. You go to people's stuff. But what about the ad element? Is that important?
Yeah, I do it.
Reluctantly?
I definitely don't enjoy spending money on it. I'm always sort of curious how much it's actually helping or not. I do know that some people do come based on the ads. I'd say my Roosevelt show, the ads are more beneficial than my improv show, because the Roosevelt show is a bit more experiential, and I'm able to pitch something that's unique about it. And also my theory with that show was people like reasons to get dressed up.
Yes.
They like a reason to put on their suit. They have this suit.
Right.
They have this dress. They spent a lot of fucking money on it, and they never get a reason to bring it out.
Especially post-pandemic. It's like we're all wearing the same T-shirts all the time. Like, let's do something different.
So give people...
good date night. Give people... I would say if you broke it down to one sentence, give people a good date night.
Give people a good date night.
Yeah.
My tagline...
A lot of comedy shows are not a good date night,
My
by the way.
tagline on my website is "Come for the show, stay for the hang."
Nice.
It's like, I look at it as, in a way, there's a Gatsby-esque quality.
Because there's a
like,
post-show hang?
Each play, all of my improv shows, a lot of people go hang out at the improv bar afterwards, and it becomes a scene.
But like the comics or the audience?
Comics and audience.
Interesting.
One night the improv bar closed before my show was over, and then there were like 30 people standing outside being like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
And then I told them the next time, I'm like, make sure the bar's open. They kept it open for me, and sales were good.
Yeah. I mean, that was Comedy Bunker was pre-hang and post-hang always. And that was a big part of it too, because you got to like go out and not just be like ushered into a seat, sit, laugh, and then go home. And not have your own social moment.
Roosevelt, I have the jazz band, which plays a little bit before and after in the room.
I gotta come to this. When's your next one? I gotta come.
July 22nd.
I'll be there.
And then after that, people go upstairs to Spare Room to hang out, which is a great spot. Yeah. Like the Roosevelt's such a cool hotel for hanging.
So cool.
And it's just like, again, it's great to have a great reason to go there.
Yeah.
Bar Covell, the Gripe Juice show, people come, they watch the show.
Was that where it was before pandemic?
Yeah.
Okay, wow, it's back same place.
Part of what's good about that one, people, they let you bring tacos in from Home State next door.
Yeah.
I'm able to do street, barking to them, like, hey, if you guys want, there's a free comedy show happening in here.
Bring your
tacos in, and get wine at the bar, mimosas.
Oh, that's great.
And my theory there was Sunday at 3:00 is the Saturday night of Sunday. It's the last hurrah of the weekend before you're really having to think about work the next day.
Have you thought about it in terms of how many tickets are you moving per month in combination for all your shows?
For all my shows? I mean, I've sold out every Well Dressed and Undiscovered Genius.
Do you run them at the same, like you'll have them both in one month?
Yeah. This month, Undiscovered Genius is down because of teen tours at the Improv, and I was happy to have the month off.
Right. So now, you're doing about 200 seats a month, right? 165, 100, and grapefruits 35, 40,
30 seats probably.
Right.
And then I have occasional pop-up shows, like I did the one at the Wisdom, which I'm trying to bring back.
Oh, the 360 one.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was fun. People, I mean,
was it in VR or something, or?
It's I built a me and this guy Joey Danger. That's really his name.
Okay. Last name Danger.
Yeah. It's definitely, he changed it, but he changed it to Joey Danger, and he's a very, very talented guy.
Right.
We put together the whole 360 Dome Coliseum thing that plays all over the Wisdom, and it's interactive. Like there's a VJ who live plays things that are pre-prepared to happen on the screen
right
when comics are going up and walking off, when the show begins, when the show ends. There's like little jokes throughout.
The way you say I just made this thing that sounds hella complicated and like awesome is pretty. You just in a throwaway, I just made some 360 thing with music and stuff, and I know a guy named Danger.
Joey Danger.
In like one sentence, you like.
Well, it's similar to what I do with, you just need to know the specs. And I mean, Joey's really the VFX guy, so he constructed the actual VFX. But once you know the specs of how to do it,
I just picture him with spiky hair triggering a bunch of stuff, like looking around.
Well, he doesn't do the VJing. He put it all together, and then Wisdom has VJs that
with spiky hair.
Stuff. No, he's bald. The VJ for my show is bald. And then
that's more appropriate.
And then if I get to do it again, we both had ideas of things to like further continue building it show by show.
Yeah.
But I also make sure to try and not make it distracting from the comics.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, Alex Hooper killed as the headliner and was also just perfectly out of this world to close it. So, I mean, he's like, I think he sent me a message afterwards about like, you gave these people an experience they'll never forget.
Yeah. Me, no.
The worst show they've ever been. No.
That's awesome.
So I want to do it again. There's been complications, but I'm trying to do it again. And then both with that show and Well Dressed, there's a part of me that's like, take these shows on the road.
Yeah.
There are domes in other parts of the country.
Domes, stages.
That probably have
people have suits in other cities, well dressed.
Comedy shows. Yeah, people. I mean, I've had people hit me up from other cities being like, I want to come to this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I look up cabaret theater. I've been looking up cabaret theaters in cities so I can try and put together a Well Dressed out there. Because I want it to be people sitting at tables able to order drinks, not like forced to sit forward in a theater.
Yeah, you need the little like cocktail table. You need the little glasses that curve, like little martini glasses, and like waiters. I mean, there's no limit to how dope it could be.
Yeah, there's a place I want to hit up in Miami that's like called the Flamingo Room, which is
already sounds perfect.
Already sounds like a perfect venue for it, where people want to get dressed up. There's a cocktail bar, and
you know when they bring Henry Hill the table in the front of Goodfellas. Mm-hmm. Do one there. Like that's the place I see. I mean, obviously that place doesn't exist, but like that's how cool it
totally
feels.
Yeah, like that. That's
I think there was even a comedian on stage there in that scene, right?
It was Henny Youngman, yeah.
Okay, yeah. You know your stuff. Speaking of Scorsese, you asked me to bring this back. Taiwan. You went to Taiwan?
Just such a funny thing that like I remember he was telling the story about because he would like go every year. I think it was Taiwan. I think it was Taiwan because he was very into Taiwanese cinema. So he was like teaching a master class like once a year in Taiwan. And he goes, I go this one year, and this kid comes up to me and he goes, Mr. Scorsese, your film Taxi Driver, it means so much to me because I'm this very lonely person, and like it was all about loneliness and
like security.
He's like, oh, thank you. He's like, yeah, but like I don't know what to do about this. And he goes, well, I get these feelings too, and what I do is I channel it into my work. So I think you should go make something and use those feelings to express it. He goes, okay. He goes, I come back a year later, and the same kid comes up to me and goes, Mr. Scorsese, I did what you said. I made something. I channeled all my feelings. He goes, great, that's amazing. He goes, but I still feel lonely. And he goes, oh yeah, that never goes away. That's just what you do with it. I always thought that was.
I love how it took a whole year to give the full story.
But like, but I think to tie that into like stand up, I say I've always tried to live by the philosophy of I do this because I love it and everything else is gravy. And if you can live by that philosophy, you'll be much happier in this business. there definitely are times where I just desperately want the fucking gravy.
Yeah.
That seeps in naturally, but like, focus on loving comedy and doing it for the love of comedy. And then every show you book will be an addition to that. Every late night appearance you end up getting is be like, great, I'm getting to do the thing I love as a career. But if you're like, I'm not happy until I get this thing, well, you're going to get that thing and find out you're not happy with it too.
Absolutely. I do not know how we cannot end there, because that was like the perfect button. Josh, always great to hang with you.
Yeah,
I feel like we have such a good flow. Our last episode did great. I'm sure this one will do great too.
Yeah, no.
So.
People be able to learn a few things. And I didn't give the whole how I fill up a show, so you will still have to listen to when I do the podcast and give the breakdown of all 11 steps.
Oh, there's 11 steps?
There's 11 steps.
Have you written out the steps?
Uh-huh.
The hardest working man in show business, Josh Edelman. Follow his work ethic. Follow him at...
The Edelmeister. At The Edelmeister.
At The Edelmeister. And great to have you as one of our few repeat guests.
Oh, yeah. I felt honored to be a repeat guest.
Take care.